The Genesis GV70 might not be a household name, but it's a genuine alternative to some seriously heavy hitters in the luxury car game, such as the BMW X3 and the Audi Q5. Now, this is the all-electric version, and it's called the GV70 Electrified. And I've lived with it for 3 months now. I know everything you need to know about it. Genesis has made picking the right GV70 Electrified easy. There's only one variant, the fully loaded GV70 Performance, priced from $126,475 before on-road costs. Now that's a lot of money in anyone's book, but there isn't really any like-for-like competitors in the luxury game that offer the same amount of performance and standard kit for this price. Big 20-inch alloy wheels add some serious on-road presence, as do LED lighting front and back and silver roof rails. Inside is where the action is though. There are plush Napa leather appointed seats that are heated, ventilated, and 18-way power adjustable in the front row. Throw in a heated steering wheel for proper snug winter motoring. A giant 14.5-inch multimedia screen is paired with a 12.3-inch digital driver display, and there is the added benefit of a head-up display too. There is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a wireless device charger, and a booming 14-speaker Lexicon stereo is standard. A huge panoramic sunroof lets the light in and can be opened or closed with the touch of a button. The GV70 has what's called a vehicle-to-load function, which allows you to power household appliances via a regular household power socket in the back here. So if you're a coffee nut just needing that caffeine hit on the go, or your car needs to be a mobile office, you've always got juice. Like most luxury SUVs, the Genesis GV70 styling is conservative, with its design more elegant than edgy. It has a smooth look with a few panel creases, adding some pop, and the closed-off grille shows it's an EV, as do the lack of tailpipes. The Genesis GV70 Electrified has a really nice old school luxury vibe. It's got quilted leather seats, it has this really nice plush material here on the dash and on the doors. It also has these physical dials and a little digital readout for your climate controls, and it's really easy to use on the go. And it goes against the trend recently where you have to dive into the multimedia screen just to change the air conditioning. There's some eye-catching contrast stitching throughout the cabin, and Genesis have really paid attention to the detail and put soft touch materials in all the right places, cushioning your knee and elbows when driving. Mid-size SUVs are the most popular vehicles in the nation. This is because they are big enough to hold a family of 5, but not too big as to feel unusable in the city. There's 2 cup holders in the center console. They can easily hold a water bottle or a coffee cup. And there's also 2 generously sized compartments in the doors. Now I do have a few issues with the GV70. First of all is the multimedia screen is quite far away. I have to lean over to swipe. Yes, I am short, but I still shouldn't have to do that. And I can have the alternative of using the rotary dial, but it's very similar in size and placement to your gear selector, and it's easy to select the wrong one when you're on the go and you're keeping your eyes on the road. Now, if you want to keep your smartphone charged, there's a few options. There's a wireless device charger in here, plus 2 USB-A charging ports. But if you have the latest iPhone, there is no USB-C connector, so you have to use the wireless CarPlay rather than plugging it in. There's plenty of room in the back seat, and it can easily accommodate a rear-facing child seat. Now there's 2 ISOFIX anchor points on each window seat, and the middle seat you can secure a baby seat via a top tether anchor point. Rear aircon vents and charging ports are great for the kids in the back. Boot space is excellent, and it can easily swallow all the luggage needed for a family holiday, daily school run, weekly shop, and all the add-ons that go with the weekend sport. Gone is the turbo petrol motor from the standard GV70, and in its place is 2 electric motors that provide some pretty amazing outputs. There's 360 kilowatts and 700 newton meters delivered to all 4 wheels. Now that's good enough to propel this big unit from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.8 seconds, or 4.2 when using the boost mode. And that's not bad for a car that weighs almost 2.5 tons. An ace up the GV70 sleeve is it's one of the fastest charging electric cars on the market. It can pump a claimed 350 kilowatts of juice back into its 77.4 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery. Genesis claims that'll fill the battery from 10 to 80% in just 18 minutes. In reality, it will do much less than that. We saw it max out at about 160 kilowatts on an ultra-fast DC charger. Genesis claims the GV70 uses 19.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which adds up to a driving range of 455 kilometers. But we averaged about 23 kilowatt hours over close to 2,000 kilometers. That adds up to a real-world driving range of closer to 380 kilometers. So on the road is where a bit of the luster comes off the GV70. And one of the biggest issues I have with this car is that the suspension is overly soft, which means you'll feel a lot of the bumps along the way. It'll take a long time to recover, especially over the bigger ones. And what that can do is you can get a kind of a rocking motion and a seesaw motion through the car, which can be quite disconcerting and something you probably would expect more from a luxury car. But one of the things the GV70 does have going for it is that it's incredibly fast. When you mash your foot all the way to the floor, it turns into a rocket ship. It's extremely fast. Not that you should be using that all the time on the road, but it's nice to know it's there when you need to overtake or in emergency situations. But it's also just as fine punting around town. It's quite happily to cruise along the freeway or just drive along urban streets like I am right now. And one thing you need to be on top of is the tire pressure. I found out that made the ride a lot worse if you'd lost tire pressure in the car. Because it is such a heavy vehicle, having that lower PSI in the tires can really affect the way it drives and the way it soaks up those bumps. So always make sure it has the right tire pressure inside. Another thing it has going for it is the steering feel. It's got a really nice weight to it, which means that it feels really composed through the corners, and that's also aided by the all-wheel drive grip, which really comes in handy, especially in the wet weather. And the GV70 it's probably the ideal size for a family car. It can easily fit 5 people, but it's also not too big to feel unwieldy around town. It's easy enough to park, to put into underground car parks and tight, narrow streets. And one thing the GV70 can't escape though is its weight. It always feels really heavy, especially when you can compare it to petrol-powered cars. And what that means is it always feels a little bit unwieldy, especially through the corners. You'll feel it rock back and forth as it struggles to control all that excess weight. And there's another thing you notice, but it's not unusual to the GV70, it's all electric cars, is that you'll hear more of the road noise because there is no engine noise. And that's what usually covers it up. But it is a lot more quiet and a lot more serene than your average car. And it really does add to that luxury appeal of the vehicle. And one of the best things about the GV70 is, for the past 3 months, I haven't had to visit a single petrol station. I cruise right by, and that, my friends, is a great feeling of smugness that comes with owning an electric car. The GV70 has a 5-star safety rating and performed very well in adult and child occupant protection crash tests. It has a massive safety gear too. Some of the notable features are auto emergency braking, blind spot warning, 360-degree camera, and rear cross traffic alert. It also has 8 airbags, which is above average. For a full list of safety equipment, head over to carsguide.com.au for the full written review. Genesis covers its cars with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. The GV70 Electrified comes with a choice of either a 5-year ChargeFox subscription, providing free fast charging, or a complimentary installation of a home AC wallbox charger. Servicing is also free for the first 5 years, and it comes with complimentary roadside assistance too. The Genesis GV70 Electrified is an excellent alternative to the German big boys. It's fast, it has a plush cabin, and it's not bad to look at either. It also has great ownership credentials, and it's really fast to charge. But it is let down by its so-so drive experience, and its real-world driving range isn't up to scratch. If you're preparing to take the plunge into premium zero-emissions motoring, then the Genesis GV70 Electrified should be on your shopping list.